I believe. Okay.
Yes,
Hello.
Aman,
Very good evening, sir. How are you?
very well. Light is good this time, I hope.
Yeah, this it is.
Good evening, Gopalji. How are you?
I'm very well. Srinivas Rao, Srinivas Rao, your video, your lighting is the best.
Is it? I'm
Yeah,
sitting in my boardroom. Boardroom full
very
of light.
amazingly well lit. I'm sitting in my bedroom.
No, I stayed back in office only. I said I didn't go to home.
Where do you stay in Coimbatore?
Sir, this is, I stay in the campus itself.
Campus only. Okay,
We
okay.
have quarters.
Okay.
Faculty cum directors' quarters are there. It's a beautiful campus.
I will come. Racecourse
Please,
Road,
please,
right?
you're most welcome. And I've already told my board members also. I said I met two people, more people. I already invited Arindin ji also. I keep inviting people. You know,
Sure. What's your typical batch size? How many people?
at present, we have two sections. The senior batch as well as junior batch. And this time we're expecting three sections. That means each section will have around 60 students.
Very good. So about 180 students. In
180 student.
180 students
Now,
pass out in year two.
24, the pass out batch is around 86 students. So I could place almost 50 guys now. Another 36. And the market is not responding properly. And these boys and girls sit on my top of my head.
I know.
They want big brands only.
I know. What is the fees? Annual, 2 years, what is the fees?
Sir, we take 9 lakhs, sir, which includes so many things, including hostel, stay, accommodation, everything.
I
In
saw
fact,
that.
my cost is something 15 lakhs goes. My parent company supports me.
Wow. What mill is that? What is the name of the mill?
Siva Tekshan.
Siva Textile. Arindam is there.
And then, is it working now?
It seems so.
Okay.
Yeah. It's fine now.
So I think it's 5:53. Let's wait for 2-3 minutes more. Since currently we are in the practice session, let's say around 5:56 or 57, we'll move to the main session.
How many
I
people
mean,
have logged in? Can you check?
not now because currently we are in the practice
Practice. You
session,
have
but
not
we have
gone live.
received confirmation from close to 560 people, and even now, we are receiving registrations.
Our other colleague has not come, right? Not yet.
Yes. I've just pinged Mr. Iyengar also.
Mr. Krishogopal, you received the questions, no?
Where do you stay, Arindam?
I stay in Delhi NCR.
Delhi, okay. Where in Delhi or Noida or Gurgaon?
Greater Noida. We are waiting for Mr. Iyengar to join us.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll shift to the main session at sharp 5:56. 1 more minute to go. Yeah, I guess Mr. Iyengar has also joined.
Yes. Mr. Iyengar has also joined.
Yeah, let's quickly check if everything is working fine for Mr. Iyengar, and then let's move to the main session. Great.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I believe the voice is slightly echoing. Not
Slightly
much, but like,
echoing, is it?
yeah. For others, is it fine? Arindam, if you can confirm.
Yeah, Mr. Hanger, if you can speak a little bit, but I wasn't able to hear you.
Yeah, I just wanted to check if you can hear me properly. No, I think we can hear
Absolutely.
you
Great.
clear. There is an echo, but that it is not
It's
disturbing.
very,
So,
yeah,
Yeah,
it's quite clear.
great.
okay.
So, if you're all set, let's move to the main session. Gaurav, let's
Sure, sure,
start.
sure.
Yeah.
We still have about 3 minutes left.
Yes, we are live. We are live on YouTube as well now.
Right.
Um, let's wait for a couple of minutes more.
Yeah. I think it's just about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Aman, are we live on LinkedIn or only YouTube?
Yeah, we are live on YouTube right now,
Not LinkedIn, right?
not LinkedIn, as well as a business standard page.
Yeah, it's 6 o'clock, but we'll just wait for a couple of more minutes and let more people join in. Give them some time to settle in, and then we are good to go.
Yeah, 6 is a time when actually the button gets enabled in the application. And yeah, we have already crossed 100.
Yes, we'd just like to let viewers know that we are waiting for a couple of more minutes for everyone to join in, and then we'll start the webinar.
I think, Arindam, we can start now. 6-3.
So I think we can. So welcome viewers. Maybe there will be a lot more viewers joining in also subsequently as we start the webinar. So, viewers, welcome to yet another exciting episode of exclusive Be Smart webinar series. Here again, just like last time, again, we are talking about, what is our life after MBA. The topic for this webinar is charting your path, whether you join a startup or an established companies, for more stability and but stable growth, or you become an entrepreneur. And viewers, if you see, we have some of the most esteemed panelists today with us. And we really take pride and pleasure in welcoming Mr. Krishna Gopal. He has been the former sales enablement head of Tech Mahindra, and now he is a mentor, a TEDx speaker. He has been working with students for a long time. Mr. Krishna Gopal can say for himself, he has been a sales enablement leader in the IT space. So he has seen a lot of young people joining in the IT, in Tech Mahindra IT space, which is one of our main catchment areas for jobs in India. So he has seen MBAs and graduates joining in the company, and he has also seen and mentored students, for their future growth. So I think he is just apt to sort of give us more insights into what is the life out of an MBA from management colleges. We also have with us Mr. Rangarajan Iyengar. He is now an entrepreneur, founder of Poco Care. He is formerly the CEO of HCL Healthcare, another big IT and a healthcare brand. HCL Healthcare has been doing very well. So he brings in that insight into whether you are fit or you take the right choice as to join a startup, or you become an entrepreneur, because he has seen both lives, I think. You know, as a startup, he's now the founder, so he can tell us a lot about the startup world. And he is also been an entrepreneur, so he will be able to give us more insights into it. We also have with us Dr. P. Srinivas Rao. He is the director of Firebird Institute of Management, Research and Management from Coimbatore. He is been very aggressively attached with students and government and the AICTE, and he will be able to tell us and guide us about how students after MBA should be charting their own life. Whether we should go for a startup journey, whether we should be joining an established company, or whether we should be starting on your own. Okay, and the kind of opportunities that institutes, in collaboration with the government and other industries, provide. He will be able to give us insights into that. So, welcome, panelists. Thank you very much for sparing your time to join us over here for another exciting episode of Be Smart webinars. We look forward to hearing from you on, for the young students, how they should be shaping their life for the future. So thank you very much. So shall we start off with the panel discussion?
Yes.
So, Mr. Krishna Gopal, let me go to you first. With the key question is, the biggest dilemma before students, passing out is the big question. Where to go next? Should we join a startup? Should it be an established firm, or start on your own? Should it be an entrepreneurial life? Uh, how do you think students should approach this dilemma? And what should be the way they should decide on which way to go?
See, on this panel, we have Rangarajan Iyengar, who's from HCL, and one of my bosses, in the past life, CP Gurnani, is from HCL, right? And he's one example. And last week I did a live session with Cherian Varghese of Oracle, very senior guy, based in Dubai. And both of these people talk about the fact that either ways you have to be an entrepreneur, right? You have to be an entrepreneur to be successful in wherever you are, right? Because that's what we want, right? We don't want people who we require to be told, right? So therefore, as students, my request, if watching me, is that build that entrepreneurial muscle. Okay, now how do you do this, right? So you should, so because in the corporate, in the school world, it is a little hard, right? I mean, you have to practice the aspect of influencing without authority, which means you have to get into committees, you have to join clubs, you have to do entrepreneurship. Last time, Arindam, if I recall, that lady who came from IIM Lucknow, she talked about opportunities for entrepreneurship at IIM Lucknow, right? Setting up
Yes.
a food stall, setting up a counter, etc. Right? So when you do entrepreneurship, you're actually doing right from sourcing through to closure, through to negotiations, through to service, through to collection of payments, right? So
Right.
you've been through the cycle, entrepreneurship, right? So my answer to this is that if you become an entrepreneur, you will be okay whether you are in a startup or whether you're in your own entrepreneurship firm, or you're in a corporate world, because corporate world requires entrepreneurial thinking students coming in, not people who will say tell me what to do. Okay, so I think I mean, I've been coaching some students and they come to me, what should I do and all that. So I tell them three, four things, right? Practice entrepreneurship. So I said all of this, influencing with the authority, clubs, committees, and so on. I say, start something. Maybe pay 50,000 rupees and do Amway. Maybe
Yeah.
pay 25,000 rupees and do whatever Tupperware, right? So when your money is inside, then you're stuck. You want to get the money out. There's pressure. Maybe start something. Do a stuff on internet. Start a portal. So when you do, so my whole request and urging students is try and become an entrepreneur, then it is a question of wherever, right? I was just talking to my wife before I came on the call. She said, if there is a choice to be made, and she's an academic, by the way, uh, choose doing a startup. Doing a startup is like doing military service. Okay, so you will be your major things of work life balance, all of that will be tested immensely. So one of the answers to one part of the answer is that do become an entrepreneur and you'll be good wherever you are. If you have to choose, do a startup initially before moving to a large corporation. I'll pause here.
So excellent. Mr. Krishna, what you're saying is basically, entrepreneurial is the common thread in whatever you do in life. Entrepreneurship, even if you're it typically brings to my mind that even a homemaker, you know is an entrepreneur in a sense, because she is putting together a household and growing it over the years, in terms of savings, in terms of money management, in terms of processes, how things happen every day, the operational part of it, the daily operations, of a household. So if you look at it, from being a homemaker to wherever you are, that entrepreneurial streak will have to be there. Okay. And what you're saying is that start at a startup level, go through all the rigors of doing everything hands on, and then move to a established firm, and then learn all the ropes of life, everything, and then move into becoming an actual entrepreneur. Well said. Thank you. The next question that comes to my mind is that there are sectors which will be, some will be good, some will be less good, or there are sectors which are opening up for the future. uh, a lot of talks about AI and everything. Technology is an evergreen market, where people want to go. But apart from that, there are other sectors also, fintech and everything, but this technology driven anyway. What do you think typically students should be looking out for in terms of job or even entrepreneurship? Whether it's a startup or in, starting something, or, looking at an established firm. What are the key sectors or key areas they should be looking out for in the next, 5, 10 years, kind of, let's say, probably?
Yeah, so the India story is a very strong story, right? So in India today, the I expect the sectors which will boom will be agriculture, will be defense, will be infrastructure. Now, these are in the MBA parlance not considered very sexy, right?
Mhm.
The MBAs typically want to, do consulting, will do, IT, of course, because IT, the unspoken thing about IT, with 98% of its business coming from overseas, the unspoken thing is I'll get to go abroad, right? So IT will be there hot always, but I think these are areas where you may be welcome, because since people are not, kind of running towards these areas, if you are able to pitch yourself, then you are getting in on the ground floor of a sector which will be booming now, right? So you have to choose well, of course, right? Agriculture, tourism, right? Tourism is another big thing. And of course, I said defense and infrastructure. So you should beat your path there, but choose well. That is one thing I
Right.
would say. The evergreen ones obviously are BFSI. Evergreen one is FMCG. Evergreen was the first technology also, right? See,
Yes.
today, when I was talking to, again, I have to quote Cherian Varghese, he says, I get very excited if infrastructure is growing, or if real estate is growing, or if defense is growing, but everything there is technology, right? GE describes itself as a technology company. Okay.
Mhm.
So therefore, technology is there everywhere. It's not going to go away, right? Software is there everywhere. So I'll step back a bit and tell students that, my dear students, you must do a few things, right? One is learn a language. Learn a language means coding as a language. Unfortunately, unfortunately, fortunately, it has become a language. Right? You need to know some language. Pick it up, because then you know the thinking of how algorithmic thinking will come into your head, right? When you do coding, Python, whatever it is you want to pick up, coding, number one. Number two, however much we may talk about, how do Germans know and do Japanese know, etc. If you are in the IT world, English is important, right?
Yes.
You have to brush your skills in English, presentation skills, Toastmasters, written spoken English. You have to brush it up, and there is no running away from that, right? I mean, you cannot keep saying that, oh, do Japanese know it, do Chinese know it, do Africans know it, right? Right. I mean, unfortunately, if we are the leaders in IT and we are dealing with that kind of a population, then English is something that you cannot walk away from.
Right.
And I talked about entrepreneurship, that practice entrepreneurship, be ready to be flexible, be able to adapt as you move along, right? Be able to solve problems. See, entrepreneurship is so many things, right? Taking initiative, perseverance, problem solving, conscientiousness, right? So these are soft skills that you need to build through practice, through being aware and through being. There are courses available to do that. I'm sure when the turn of Dr. Srinivas comes, he will talk about it, right? So those are some of the things that you have to practice and do. And parallelly, you must also, because this is a world of brands, right? So you have to do certifications. So I would strongly urge people to do certifications in Google, certifications in Microsoft, in AWS, in analytics, and those areas, analytics, security, etc. So do a few, and which so when you go into an interview situation by doing these certifications, you are showing a characteristic called learnability. Hey, I have learned, right? Hey, I have done entrepreneurship. Hey, I understand technology. Hey, I'm very good in presentation in English, right? So this is what is a preparation. But in terms of specific questions, which areas to get into, the areas being, I said, the greenfield upcoming areas are going to be agriculture, tourism, infrastructure, defense, where regularly MBAs will not want to go. You should pitch and choose good companies. You can grow with them. Of course, the standard ones like BFSI, IT, FMCG are anyway there and to be looked at.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Krishna Gopal. Well, we'll go to the, one more question to you. And from then, after that, we will move to Mr. Dr. Rao. Very quickly, you talked so much about the technology and things. There are AI. I mean, how do you think AI, which is the future, like, and other technology tools can help a, an MBA graduate to kind of decide or determine what she or he is fit for? Like, a lot of industries need a certain kind of a temperament, or a lot of students might not have that right temperament to go to a certain particular field, right? Is there a technology available that which can help them to decide what is fit, like a psychometry test kind of a thing?
Yes, I think you brought this up, and I should have covered this earlier also, but you triggered this. Thank you very much. I think people should operate from their strengths. The world of psychology is moving to positive psychology. If you look at Martin Seligman and look at his book on authentic happiness, it's all about positive psychology, right? Of course, Gallup did that for several years, but now with Penn State and Martin Seligman and all that, is now moving to this authentic happiness. If you go to authentic happiness, one word, AuthenticHappiness.org, you will see a slew of tests there. My dear friends, I recommend you to take up the VIA character strength test. VIA character strength, it is free of charge. Unlike Gallup, where you have to buy the book and they'll give you a code, and then you do the test using that code. And then also they will not give you a detailed analysis. They only give you your top five signature strengths, right? This VIA character strengths on AuthenticHappiness.org. You should take it up, and it will give you your top five strengths out of the 24. And that's a
Mhm.
very nice place to start to know where to do what, right? So I do coaching now. Like a lot of students, well, not really students, a lot of young professionals come to me, and then I encourage them to take this test for them to know where they are. Because if you're playing to your strength, then chances of you succeeding are higher. Or so there are two things, right? One is I'm in a job, I'm not enjoying the job. So how do I bring my signature strengths to play in this job? Or I look for a job in which my signature strengths are used.
Correct.
So, well, it's not as easy as I'm making out to be. Most of the time, you have to adapt. And I have this saying that you may not get what you like, but you have to like what you get. Okay. So sometimes, that perseverance, liking what you get, bringing your signature strengths to do the job in the best possible way so that it becomes a calling and not just a job. Okay. So that is what you should do. Now, you spoke about AI. Uh, See, AI, if you recall, I think many of us are fairly, advanced in age, at least 50 plus, 55 plus. And, we have been through so much, right? When I started to do engineering, slide rule was the way. People did not use a calculator, right? Or
Right.
for that matter, when BlackBerry came, many people said, no, 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 it's a leashed line, LEASHED, leashed line, it's a leash on your neck,
Yeah.
right? Because I want to go home, I don't want to be bothered. But BlackBerry happened, right? Your smartphones happened, right? Everything happened. I mean, the technology overwhelms you, however much you, and whether it is good or bad is a different debate. Okay, it's a different debate.
Yeah.
Maybe it is bad also, but AI is going to overwhelm you. So, my urging to students is you have to learn prompt engineering, right? I'm telling you, my son and daughter-in-law, they live in London. They were wanting to do a trip to the Switzerland. They got an amazingly detailed itinerary for Switzerland from ChatGPT. They had to do, with which place to stay, how much of pounds to pay, which they were not able to get from anywhere else, right? And they had to put so many 3, 4, 5 refining prompts. So I think prompt engineering is something that people will have to be comfortable with. They should learn that and use it, because doing prompt engineering requires CPU, requires smartness, right? So as MBAs, you have that, you understand, have a broad framework of understanding, you understand several tools. So when you do prompt engineering as a subject, you will become much more effective in your job.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Krishna Gopal. Very quickly, we'll move to Dr. Rao now. Dr. Rao, welcome aboard on this webinar.
Thank you so
My
much. Thank
question
you so
is,
much.
yeah, so, to go back to the main headline of this webinar is that as MBAs passing out, what do you choose? Whether you could choose startups, established firms, or the entrepreneurship. Typically, startups, as we know, they offer great learning, career growth, but they come with a lot of high pressure because you pretty much have to do everything hands-on, and there's a lot of job insecurity in this, right? Startups, how volatile they can be. What could be the rationale for, one rationale at least, Mr. Krishna Gopal said. What do you think, if you can give us a detail, why should students choose startups?
Definitely, Arindhanji. And I would like to connect with Gopalji only, the technology companies. The world is moving through technology companies only. And today's young minds are always in technology. They know second thought that they're not regular, manufacturing style of people. Rather, they're always hands-on with mobile and also always there in the web. Okay. The lifestyle itself is technology only. Now, if you see that the startup company, which are top 20 companies are there in India with more or less, 2 billions to $10 billion, market capitalization, you find Baizu, Ola, Paytm, Swiggy, Zomato, Flipkart, Nokia, PhonePe, Razorpay. You can see all these companies. All these companies basically data companies, more or less service companies, and their platforms are basically based on several kind of engines and boats only, and it needs a lot of resilience in understanding the technology, how it drives, how it can be nurtured, how the economy can be scaled, and students need to come out of the comfortable zone. Since always you find that MBA students are between 21 to 24 maximum, there's a high time that they can take a risk, because if you're in a comfortable zone and there is a chance of lethargic attitude when you're being paid highly and not much innovation, not much multitask. This startup ecosystem or entrepreneurship will give you multiple hats to put on your head and take the load. And when you work 24 into 7, that you carry that your finance, you carry your marketing, you carry your operation, definitely the bandwidth of your abilities will go at a level that your competency can be mapped as a global standard. That's what I always prefer. As long as you're young, you're updated with technology, better to get into a startup where the scope and scale will be more and also opportunities are more. And also in terms of compensation, salaries are also very good because some of the companies they also give equities. Some of the companies also give the chance to go to the other countries. Some of the companies send them on extensive training. For example, Gopalji was saying that generative AI is very important. Yes, absolutely. Today you can get anything hands-only. Only thing that you should have a quotient of learning. If that is there, this is the best opportunity. At the same time, I would like to also go for the other side of this, the startup companies and entrepreneurship also on my second row.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. Now, when you see that the startup companies which are at global level, they start, at different level. For example, OpenAI, it's a $30 billion market capitalization, and TikTok is $300 billion. When you see this global companies and also Stripe goes for $95 billion and Databricks at $43 billion. So these are the companies which are mega trend companies. Their technology will last for that. And there is a stability is there. If you're competent enough with your technology capabilities, you can scale for a long hauling. But Indian companies, we have been going through a lot of ups and downs. So a young student need to be very careful, and it also depends on the family background where they can risk, they can tolerate the risk or not. Because most of Indian student, that B category B school student, they study on loan with a range of 6 to 10 lakhs. It is very high. They should have carry the accountability. They should be able to pay the EMI for next at least 6 years. Of course, some of the public sector banks they have leveraged up to 20 years. That kind of loan facilities there they can take risk. Otherwise, I will never suggest to get into startup because it is
So,
a mindset. It is a family background. If family is supporting, well, it's a chance to grow faster.
So,
But
Mr. Rao, if I may interrupt you a little bit over here,
yes, yes,
you are saying that startup ecosystem is sort of, the right kind of startup ecosystem. If it is, you do a due diligence, you understand, the kind of right startup ecosystem, and then you can go and join it. That's the
yes,
best place because have
yes.
a learning curve,
For
strong learning
example,
curve.
look at the Baizu.
Yeah.
Baizu, the kind of venture capital in angel investors. What happened?
So
Finally,
I,
see,
so I get your point, but then that brings me to the next question, which is then, in today's day and age when there is speed, rapidity, because if you see typically students, young people, they don't last in one job for, more than 2, 3 years kind of, and job hopping has become sort of a trend to grow faster because you have younger companies and then, quickly moving it. So does that mean that joining established firms, which probably bring in stability, a structured development, valuable networking, but it sort of the one disadvantage is that it slows the career progression. It might take longer years for a person to grow up to a certain level, right? So does it really make sense to join established companies these days?
I also recommend, I also mentor the student for joining a well-established company. Number one,
Hmm.
that they get trained. They get trained on a large scale because a company gives a provision for 2 to 3 months to understand their SOPs, understand the vision, understand the mission, the strategic objectives, understanding the strategic business unit portfolios, they understand the finance, and also they understand the HR policy. This is all possible because you might have
Hmm.
seen that ITC management training used to be there. SAIL
Hmm.
India. SAIL used to have a management training, Coal India management training. But today, there is no concept of management training. They hire you and they fire you. For example, if I
Ah,
take that any well-established company, MNCs like Goldman Sachs, BlackRock, or maybe including HCL, you have a well-defined career paths are there. And it's not that you just go and become a vice president. You have to slog for at least
mhm.
3, 4 years. Like I see the many MNCs where I mentor my student, they join basically as an analyst for 1 or 2 years, then they get associate level, then they get into senior associate level, then they become a manager, senior manager, then a team leader, then they go to AVP, VP. This is structured where survival, growth, excellence is mapped well, that to be a benchmark by at the global level. So definitely the guys who are looking for a long hauling and understanding the eco of large corporate, definitely that's the best one. And look at the market capitalization also. When you see that, it's small caps are there, medium caps and large caps are there. Large cap, definitely they have a resilience and the agility to sustain the market, where the salaries and bonus increments are definitely equated as per the performance and as per the appraisal of the candidate. Whereas the small cap companies, they come fast, they depend on the angel investors, they invest on the venture capitalists, and after 2 years, there is a huge pressure, intensive pressure will be there. Out of this pressure, what happens? The corporate go here and there, and finally they bust no. And finally, result and this leadership positions gives a lot of kick to the students again.
So, Dr. Rao, if one point I picked up from what you said right now is, if somebody is willing to go on the long haul, which also means that there are students, or young graduates who are much more patient and
Yes,
who wants to stick around and see how their life can slowly grow up. It
yes.
really makes a lot of sense if they want to go and join an established company, because that's where they really work their mind and slowly move up. And it's not for the kind of the light-footed ones who quickly wants to make big in their life and all those things, probably.
Anilji, I would like to add here, and Gopalji, what you said, 100% correct. Today, the companies are technology-based companies. Each company has a large ERP system. That could be SAP, that could be Oracle, that could be Oracle Fusion, and backend lot of database is there. Again, powered by multiple engines, multiple apps, multiple a kind of customized driven softwares are there. So one has to learn that ecosystem of the corporates. One has to understand the security system. One has to understand the cloud computing and distributed network. These cannot be, you can't learn these in the small companies. You cannot have
Right.
this Ola and all this. They have, but the chance, the scope and scale at large. I mean, of course, they will grow slowly, but the kind of learning what happens in large companies and the guy
Right.
working under the senior person, the
Right. I
maturity,
got
maturity in
got
management,
you.
maturity in finance, both is excellently mapped there.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Dr. Rao. We'll quickly, we're just running a bit over time now. We'll quickly go to Mr. Rangarajan Iyengar. He was the CEO with HCL Healthcare, and now he has his own startup ecosystem. Mr. Iyengar, one question I would like to ask over here is that there's a lot of, in Korea, there's a lot of inputs in terms of personal brand building, right? How do you leverage social media? How do you, and I think this is one point Mr. Krishna Gopal also touched upon in the initially, that how you kind of bring forth your skills, and communicate to the world, how you make do that. So does it really help, the personal branding, the kind of, your work, you showcasing your work, your skills, yourself? How does it help?
Yeah, I think first of all, it has become a trend today to be a lot more active on social media, especially when we are talking from a career point of view, say LinkedIn. And I would like to go back to what Krishna Gopal said. In terms of authentic happiness, I will borrow half the term there. My view is one should be authentic, because when you're building a brand, and when you're any brand, if you take, the brand comes with a promise of reliability, a promise of delivering something. So it's basically a promise. But if you're not authentic in building a brand for yourself, and you end up with an expectation mismatch, then I think the entire objective of building the brand goes for a toss. That said, today networking is very important. You need to network, but don't do it in a manner which is artificial. I'll give you a couple of examples. I've seen thousands of messages that keep coming to me. And just yesterday, top of the mind recall, I had a message that said, "Dear Shubham," and addressed me. Basically, it was very clear that it was a copy paste, a chat GPT initiated copy paste. So obviously the authenticity was not there. I didn't even bother reading what the message was. That was one. Secondly, I also see a lot of people that may have worked with me in the past just sending me and saying, "Why don't you give me a recommendation?" And I asked them to write. I just want to see what they think, and I asked them to write about themselves and send it to me. And it covers basically. I start thinking if for example, if somebody from, I'm just making it up, if somebody from HCL Healthcare sends me something, I start thinking if that person was the CEO, if I was, because they seem to have done everything and want the recommendation for that. So my key advice to the MBAs or future MBAs here is be authentic. You need to learn. You need to get those certifications. You need to get better at communication, which both the other panelists were talking about. At the same time, I think being authentic is extremely important. You're not going to become a great speaker just one fine day, but just remember that if you're able to communicate your ideas well, that is good enough. And never get into a situation where there is an expectation mismatch. If somebody calls you for an interview, for example, or an interaction where you have promised some great skill, everybody seems to be a growth hacker. But if you ask them, what do you mean when you will deploy your growth hacking skills at PocoCare, for example, it's completely theoretical. The answers are completely theoretical. Then they start to fumble when I go one level deeper, which is definitely avoidable. So I think it is extremely important. To summarize, I would say it is extremely important to build a strong network, build your personal brand, to start building a promise, but make sure that you're delivering on that promise by building the necessary skill sets and getting better and better at your strengths. That would be my
So you're
advice.
basically saying the intent should be right, and there should be authenticity in what you intend to
Absolutely.
do.
Absolutely.
It shouldn't be a copy paste kind of, just because the world is doing it, you think you can do it. It cannot be like that. But that brings me to the next question, which is that today, youngsters are kind of extremely light-footed, right? They don't want to wait for actually to write out a paragraph or something. They just want to put and laziness is that way, it's part of it. You have the tools, you have chat gpt, so it'll write better for me. I won't make any effort to write about myself. I just give a prompt and it just does it for me, right?
Yeah.
People don't want to stay in jobs for very long because they think that they've learned everything and got bored easily, and so they move on to something else, right?
Right.
So what is the ideal mix? What should it be like? Because on the one hand, the world demands that you are fast, agile, and quick. On the other hand, there is a lot of discipline needs to be built, a lot of rigor needs to be brought in, experience needs to be there, which needs time. So isn't there a conflict? What is the mid path?
Yeah, I think one aspect is we need to have the right mentors, because we may think that we have gained enough experience, but what's the right level of experience? What have I learned is something that a person who has gone through the process will be able to show the mirror to you in a better way. I don't see a problem with people jumping jobs, although if the reason is genuine. For example, in my view, look at two or three variables. For example, what is it that you're looking for? I think the conversation started with Krishna Gopal talking about being an entrepreneur across any choice that you make, whether it is a startup or an enterprise or your own company. I think the key word when we talk about entrepreneurship is accountability and responsibility. You need to be responsible and you need to take accountability. So if in your role you see that you're not going to grow into a position of responsibility, but it is because you think you have been accountable, but actually you've not been. There may be a conflict where when you're looking at the mirror, you're seeing somebody different from how the world around you is perceiving. So I think it's very important to, for example, I'll give you a completely different point of view as well. I mean, I like because I'm a founder myself now, and when I go to founder networking, I see that people think that I'm going to be a coach, but I tell them that what, you're young, but I want you to be my mentor, right? Because they get, I mean, the audacity that a youngster brings in as a founder is a completely different ball game compared to what we bring to the table in our late 40s, 50s, etc. So I think it's about taking that accountability, understanding if you have genuinely, got the skill sets to grow, coming out of the comfort zone, which Dr. Rao was talking about. And very importantly, the shift in job should not be just because of a few rupees or a few dollars more, because eventually, if you're getting the accountable roles, if you're getting into positions that are high positions like CXO positions, etc., I think eventually money will come. So I hope I answered your question, Arindam.
Yeah, I guess so. One last question before we sort of open it to the panelists to sum up their own, views. This final question is a typical dilemma is that after I get out of the management institute, should I go abroad or should I stay in India? What's the best decision?
I'll tell you, I don't know how relevant it is because when I graduated, did my postgrad from IIM Lucknow, it was the year 2000 where, given that most of the people and the students might have been fully born by then, uh, right? But I had to take a call, and I did have a loan. I had to take a call, and I always wanted to, work abroad. I went there, so I took. I'm just answering this question using my own example. So I
Sure,
went
sure.
there.
I
I
think that will
went
be the best
there.
answer. Yes.
Sure. So I went there because I wanted to be in the US. I did not go to do my MS there, so I wanted to be in the US. And obviously, the dollar exchange was a big factor for a middle class person to not ignore. So I went there, but then I also realized that the comfort zone is so high. If I want to ever start anything, I am not going to do that if I continue staying here. So I took a bold call. Me and a equally crazy batchmate of mine, we decided. We took a call. We came back to India. We wanted to start something. The market crashed in 2001. So we actually started a company in the edtech space, slogged at it for about 4 years. And then I went to an enterprise, large enterprise, which is HCL. So I always kept going back to HCL. Other than that, I worked at Cognizant, which is another large enterprise. Worked at Apollo Hospital, which is what got me very interested in healthcare. Uh, and then, my love for entrepreneurship stayed with me. So I kept asking for roles wherein I would essentially be a PNL sort of a person, and got into a founder of PocoCare. So what I'm trying to say is, if I had continued in the US or if I had continued abroad, I would have probably stagnated at a certain level. And I'm not saying that I would not have made a lot of money, but I'm just saying that from a pure learning, from a pure exposure to the sort of opportunities that I got, I don't have any regrets. So it's completely up to the individual. But in my view, having a stint outside India at any point of time, whether it is right outside college or at some point in time, it makes a huge difference in appreciating the cultural diversity that exists in the world. Be open to going out. Again, it sets you out of your comfort zone. Don't go to a place where you have your old friends and stuff like that. Choose a place. Don't be scared of going anywhere. Just pick a place and understand the value of diversity, because it will help you in the longer run in a very very big way. So I don't have a direct answer. I just gave you some examples from my own experience. Uh, but like Dr. Rao said, it could be financial, it could be family backed. You could be rebellious, but you have to get your family to sort of support you. So all those factors do come into play. But today, this is my personal point of view. Today, given the opportunity which is there in India, given that we are looking at a massive growth potential, uh, I would not be very happy if somebody says I want to go abroad, but it is your choice. That would be my vote of
Right, right,
my,
right.
my,
Thank you
my
so
point
much.
of
Thank you so much, Mr. Rangarajan.
view.
We have a couple of questions, before we sort of conclude. In fact, the floor is now open for Q&As. If there are any questions, one can put up on the Q&A chat box, wherever.
There is
One
a
question
question.
is that one person has asked, how can I develop problem-solving skills in the field of HR operations? So very quickly, because we are running out of time. So who would like to take that question, please?
I think I will recommend Srinivas Rao to take that.
Yeah, definitely. I would like to. This is asking a problem solving. Problem is not only in HR area. Every area problem will be there. The way you take it. See, the
Yep.
moment you look at thing at as a problem, that's not a good idea. That should be a complex area of operation we should understand. Particularly for the students of MBA, I would like to advise them, don't look anything as a problem. It's a typical problem statement in the research, problem statement in the AICT guidelines they have given. Never look it as a problem. Look it as a challenge to solve and find out solution. The moment you say problem, your mindset itself, it makes you away from the situation. All situations are complex. We need to understand the matrix of its relation and find out a solution. That's all. And they won't be any comfortable zone anywhere, either in HR, marketing. But best way is to stand on the compliance. Normally, if you stand on the compliance, half of the whatever they call problem challenge will be solved. Never deviate from the compliance or SOPs.
Right. Right. There was another question before we go into this. There is another question from one Tanveer Alam Malik. He's saying, sir, how can an MBA student become and uh, build a multi-millionaire empire?
No, I answered that. I typed the answer to him and to everybody. So let me repeat that. I think, Tanvir, the way to, it's not easy. I mean, you're asking a very far reaching, wide question that if everybody knew the answer to that, they would all become millionaires, right? But one way to approach this is if you're if you're spotted a real life, genuine problem, and if you have a unique solution to that, there is a good chance that you will be on your way to some amount of riches. No guarantee. Many other things are there. But if you're solving something unique, if you find a unique problem in the world for humans, and you're solving that unique problem using technology, and I'm assuming you're using technology in a unique manner, right? Then, then you're on your way to riches. That's a good start point to be on your way to riches.
There is one more question. I think, that was the basic tenet of this entire conversation. It's a person, Svetlana Mishra, has asked that, sir, should MBA freshers must focus on branding and join big companies or should join startups? I think that was the whole conversation that we were having, right? It is
Yeah.
basically how it's your temperament, how you want to look at it. The ideal situation is you join startups and then move on to move on to bigger brands and then move into entrepreneurship. But is there any different view on this?
Yeah, I have a different view actually. Uh,
Yeah.
my view is, when we say we should work in a startup and then we should move on to a larger brand, uh, you you are going to be very bored when you go to a larger brand, right? So we are used to hustle. You're used to not really having a, like, you may be called as a HR person, but you'll end up, doing everything under the sun that the startup requires on that particular day. So you get to become a generalist with a lot of responsibility and a lot of excitement and rigor that comes with it. Of course, the processes are not structured. There is a pro, there is a con to it. But in my view, it completely depends on the individual and the longer term goal of the person. I would urge people to not join a startup because it is a trend of the day. A startup is not a place to be if you're not ready to, if there is work life balance, then obviously work gains more precedence over your life if it is a startup in many, many situations. Uh, so I don't think startup should be. I mean, people should introspect, look at their strengths. I like what Krishna Gopal was talking about. Look at their strengths and actually try to map your strengths to whether you fit in a startup or you are okay to join a larger company because there is a lot more to learn, and then you join a startup later if at all you want to, because either way the key is entrepreneurship, accountability, responsibility. I think if you have that, you need to introspect and think. There is no right or wrong answer here.
Right. Very quickly, we have just two more scope for two more questions. This one is for Mr. Krishna Gopal, since you have been in the sales front. There is a question I want to know about the scope in supply chain management. Should I pursue an MBA in SCM, supply chain management?
It's a very hard question to answer. And the reason is that, frankly, I mean, most people don't know what they want.
Right.
MBAs, like, go into a college, they're either pushed by parents or because they got great marks in, MBA has to be done, peer pressure, right? So they are there because they are there, right? And then 9 lakhs, and I have to get a good job, I have to start paying back my 9 lakhs, right? So, in this scheme of things, I mean, frankly, honestly, let me admit that, I did engineering because I got good marks in 12th standard. I chose mechanical because I didn't want electrical and I didn't want to stand in the heat for civil, right? I, I did MBA because I got admission to SPJIMR. I did not want to do operations because engineering के बाद operations ही करेगा, पागल है क्या, right? And HR वाले तो HR mad, right? Finance, I have no interest for finance, so marketing, right? So honestly, most of the kids are choosing like this, right? So in that scheme of things, I mean, SCM, you don't know, boss. In my opinion, uh, if I have to relive my life again, I would join 2 3 firms every 2 years, right? And try out and see what is right for me, right? It was impossible at that time. Like Godrej and Boys, 10 years I stayed. Good company. And I'm saying if I have to do, I have to do many things. And at the age of 51, I discovered my true purpose in life, which was to be in HR training. I would have been laughed at if I had chosen HR in the MBA time. And we are also worried about those peer pressure. So, my dear friend, who you're asking, I mean, answer to that is I don't know. Because
Right.
chances are you also don't know.
Yeah. Okay. The last question to Dr. Rao. There's somebody has asked that as a management student to establish career in business analytics, what kind of skills and extra courses are required to develop by oneself? You know, and I know you. I remember, earlier you were chatting with me on this. You're saying that even the government, the ICT, have a lot of opportunities and all those things. So maybe you can bring in a little bit of insight into that.
Yes, yes. I think he's looking towards business analytics as a career. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I'll go into little deeper if you give me 2 minutes time. See, business analytics, people are, making it a 70 as it a big science, too big. Data science is different. Data science is too big. But where is the business analytics is concerned, basic Excel, advanced Excel, database, SQL, and R, Python, plus, Power BI and Tableau only. This is a sophisticated form of extracting the data. Okay, when the rows and columns, when it goes beyond 1,000 to lakh and above, you use these things. But are you going to be a coder? A guy is sitting 4 years of engineering guy, CS and IT guy, who is far better than you. One should learn business analytics for functional application. That could be finance analytics, that could be operation analytics, that could be HR analytics, that could be marketing research analytics. Not to get into the shoes of a programmer or coding person. Let us, all the guys to understand, you know about it, but don't get in the shoe of, shoe making it. That's wrong because you're not competent to at C level, C++, Java, .NET. They're very competent logically. They're very strong. I advise all MBA students to know about it surface level, but practice at functional level.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, for this very engaging conversation that we've had. Uh, my thought to the viewers over here is that at Be Smart, we already have, multiple case studies that we put up. And recently we have put up a case study, if people are looking for jobs in the media industry and looking for challenging kind of jobs and all, we already have a case study, a kind of a reward case study going on, which the viewers can attempt, and they can see, if they are, kind of fit enough to join business standard as well, right? So we have put up a case study over here. People can look that up, attempt it, and see, how they fare, because we have it in the business side, in the sales and marketing side. So I would urge the viewers to sort of go there and see how it is. And so coming back, thank you so much, Mr. Rangarajan Iyengar, Dr. Rao, and Mr. Krishna Gopal, for sparing time on this thing. We look forward to having more such webinars, and look forward to having you as panelists from time to time. Thank you, and
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. And thank you, viewers, for being there patiently and asking very good questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you all of you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
All the best. All the best. Bye.